I always wondered why Boruto mentioned his birth date when Amado was narrating the tale of Akebi and Shibai. At first it felt like a pure coincidence, but deep down I knew Kishimoto could have foreshadowed something with it. Then I got sent a theory by Dorian Muozone, the guy who proposed the idea behind Momoshiki being Shibai, and some parts of it made a lot of sense. So basically the theory tries to elaborate how Boruto might be Shibai or Otsutsuki by differently interpreting this statement of Momoshiki. But before we understand how that works, let me explain everything that builds this connection between the main character and the god of the verse in less than a minute. It all started with this panel portraying an Otsutsuki god. The colorless eyes in the background could be the Jougan, the mysterious dojutsu of Boruto. Then the reveal of Shibai Otsutsuki showed him with the horn, which is very similar to Boruto's horn. Assuming his eye is the Jougan, that will be confirmed with the return of the anime. It's pretty evident that both of them share the same powers. Furthermore, Shibai was said to possess abilities that are way too identical to the chakra natures of Boruto, wind, water and lightning. The Uzuhiko technique also looks similar to Shibai stirring up a tornado around him. And if that wasn't enough, Boruto made a quick mention of his birthday when Amado was telling the tale of his daughter. Surprisingly, it's around the same time when the scientist found his remains, and this is where things get interesting. The manga says Shibai left his remains behind and ascended to a higher dimension, and apparently Amado somehow found them. However, the scientist also raises the possibility of Shibai's death, which means he's not 100% certain about the ascension theory. Even Momoshiki said Shibai is no longer in this dimension, and he doesn't mention any higher realm, as speculated by Amado. So what if Shibai left his mortal body to reform himself into a human, which is Boruto? If we take a look at Momoshiki's statement on Otsutsuki gods who have used omnipotence before, he emphasizes on Otsutsukis who once turned gods, which could also be interpreted as they are no longer gods. So could it be that they are now humans? More realistically, a human who turned Otsutsuki. Applying this to the case of Shibai, it's highly possible that after leaving his remains behind just to be reborn as Boruto, he simultaneously left the status of being a god. This explains why there are so many similarities between Boruto and Shibai. The way Kishimoto pointed out the date of birth of his protagonist, it was pretty clear for something to have happened during that time period. Many people speculate Shibai to be the final boss or the main villain of the story, but I don't think anything like that is going to happen. The whole concept of Boruto strongly possessing the powers of the Otsutsukis was teasing his connection to Shibai from the beginning. We know Himawari became compatible with the Kyuubi due to the genetic code that she inherited from her parents. The same should have been the case with Boruto, but the Otsutsuki plot point changes everything. There wasn't any way for him to possess pure Otsutsuki powers, that too in abundance by birth, and Himawari is a living proof of it. So the only way for him to strongly inherit the power of the Otsutsuki was indeed a past connection. The Jougan is another hint to amplify this theory. This dojutsu was active the entire time when Boruto was talking to Momoshiki in the chakra dimension and was apparently the medium for the monster to identify his Otsutsuki connection. Furthermore, Momoshiki says, "Now I see," before pointing out the strong Otsutsuki power that Boruto has possessed. This means he was noticing him from the beginning, ever since the time he read his fate with his Byakugan. It seems like the interesting fate of Boruto that Momoshiki foresaw was also due to his Shibai connection. What are the odds for an Otsutsuki to find the fate of an ordinary human being interesting enough to make him their vessel? This yet again proves that Shibai's soul had underwent a process known as transmigration around the time when Boruto was born. I would like to connect this possibility with the previous theory of mine, where I talked about the fate of Uzumaki's and the involvement of Shibai in it. The Momoshiki revelation again plays a part in this. I think the reason Shibai chose someone nearest to the Uzumaki lineage is because he had seen their overpoweredness and broken sealing techniques. He has apparently wiped them out himself with omnipotence and then modified the memories of people about them with the same spell. And since this power can literally do anything, it shouldn't be impossible for him to just get reborn as Boruto, whose roots are also based in this clan. We know the concept of destiny has made people walk the same path as their counterparts in Naruto. So will this apply to Boruto if he's actually Shibai or Otsutsuki? Well, I think unlike the case of Ashura and Indra, where the reincarnates have their own independent free will of dying like their predecessors or changing the cycle once for all, the case of Boruto will be much more interesting yet worse than what we have seen so far. He is not any ordinary reincarnation, but the god Otsutsuki in human form. This is why he was given the power to see the future and the chance to change the forthcoming. As the power of hurdles is on the rise, I think the only way to scale Boruto to the level of an Otsutsuki god is by letting him have the flashbacks of his past life. In other words, he can get to witness the events that Shibai had experienced in his lifetime, most likely the ones that influenced him so much that he decided to leave his mortal remains behind for a rebirth. This gives Boruto a purpose that is beyond the mortal realm of existence. Everybody that he knows is connected with Chakra, and an Otsutsuki god can easily play with the perception of such beings with omnipotence. There must be some greater trouble that even the divine spell cannot handle and requires a strong-willed warrior. This could be one of the reasons for Shibai to take the form of an exceptionally talented Uzumaki. Now for those who say Momoshiki would have known about this phenomenon, well, he is still an Otsutsuki at the end of the day and must be unaware of what the gods are doing. So whether Boruto is the physical manifestation of Shibai Otsutsuki or a medium for the Otsutsuki god to interact with the mortal world, it's pretty clear that his destiny will lead him to the deity at some point in the story. However, there is another point that I believe could explain why Boruto was granted a different type of dojutsu at first place. What if the Jougan acts as a medium for the Otsutsuki god to completely take over the body of Boruto? It could be that Oniri gave this eye to him without knowing it belongs to Shibai, similar to how Madara gave the Rinnegan to Nagato without knowing it belongs to Hagoromo. There have been radical ways of giving someone the karma in Boruto, like how Ishiki entered the body of Jougan to spread his karma in a parasitic way, or how Kawaki was given the karma through scientific experiments performed by Amado. Even the second time when Kawaki got the karma from the scientist, he had no knowledge of the transplantation, maybe because of his Otsutsuki genetic code. It's easier to karmify an Otsutsuki as compared to a human, and maybe a dojutsu like the Jougan is the most convenient way for an Otsutsuki to hijack a human being. This would make the Jougan synonymous to an evil eye. At first everyone thought it would help him in protecting the universe, but the Jougan could end up becoming the reason for Boruto getting submerged with the Otsutsuki god. Another theory for why Boruto might be related to Shibai was sent to me by Profuse Glider on Discord. So he basically emphasizes on the idea of the interconnectedness of all the chakra which is present in the universe. If Shibai has actually ascended to a higher plane of existence, he must have left a large vestige of chakra behind, and just like the black Zetsu, this chakra must have a will of its own. So how did it reach to Boruto? Well, before I answer that question, please hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell for more amazing Boruto content. To understand how the leftover chakra of Shibai found Boruto, we will need to figure out how the QB got reincarnated inside Himawari. The Baryon mode sucked the whole chakra and life force of Kurama, so it shouldn't have been possible for him to come back. But as we can see in chapter 9, the Ninetales is officially back in his baby form. This was only possible because Himawari had inherited the Biju chakra from Naruto. The whiskers act as a proof of her inheritance, and when QB had to revive, it apparently couldn't do that from scratch. So the X amount of Biju chakra that Himawari inherited from Naruto is what took the form of the tail beast with the passage of time. Now in case of Boruto, the Otsutsuki power found him due to his connections to Hagoromo and Hamura. The fusion of the chakras of both the entities that were originally possessed by his parents made him the closest to Kaguya, hence making him compatible with Shibai Otsutsuki. Another theory of the same theorist talks about Amado and how Shibai could be secretly manipulating him with omnipotence. He believes the deity is still on the planet and wants to create clones of himself through the scientist. But I think the reality is much more twisted than that. We know how strong of a spell the omnipotence is. It can make people believe in things that never happened. So if Amado is being controlled by Shibai Otsutsuki, who is no longer present in this world, then he must have given him the full leverage of smoothly executing his plan. This includes modifying the vision of Eida when she looked into the past to confirm the existence of Akebi. It could be that his daughter never existed, and it is just Shibai playing his cards to fulfill the bigger plans. The plan of existing both as a deity as well as a mortal with the help of the karma. This theory denies the speculations where Shibai could be on Boruto's side. There is a slight possibility for his true plan to be wicked and evil, otherwise he wouldn't need a mortal to help him out. If this theory comes true, it would reveal the mind-boggling psychological and tragic manipulation that the Otsutsuki god did to Amado. If the scientist actually had a daughter, he must have a wife too. too, but he never mentioned her. Further, the symbols that he uses under the capsules of Delta look a lot like the Jashin emblems used by Hidan. These hints indicate that the old man is just being manipulated by someone way more powerful. What if he never had a wife or a daughter, and all these memories are just an emotional deception manifested through omnipotence? It would make Amado the biggest chess piece in the history of Naruto, someone who literally carried the whole story to a very shocking point without even realizing it. A big plot point in the Shibai discussions that gets overlooked many times is the cyborg duo Eida and Daemon. They both seem to possess the powers of this deity, but how in the world were they compatible with an Otsutsuki god's chakra? The Ishikigama experiment killed hundreds of children, so was there another massacre done by Amado to find the perfect vessel for Shibai's powers? If that is the case, then does their compatibility have something to do with them being siblings? Could it be that they secretly belong to some branch of Otsutsuki's that will be revealed to us later in the story? Well, you can subscribe to find the answer to that question, as I might cover it in a future video. Till then, check out these videos for more amazing stuff. I will see you next time.